Welcome to the first of our special Deepdale Festival podcasts in 2024. Chris has put together another amazing lineup for this year's festival. So much superb music. I'm Jason, and this episode I chat with Skinny Lister, Sarah McQuaid, and A Light Left On. We chat about touring, recording processes, upcoming gigs, and the music industry. All the chats are recorded in the run-up to Deepdale Festival, which takes place on the 26th to the 29th of September 2024 at Deepdale Camping and Rooms on the beautiful North Norfolk coast. The team described Deepdale Festival as a music festival with a heart of folk, and it's all about the music. We hope you enjoy hearing from these superb artists, and if you'd like any more information about Deepdale Festival, please take a look at the website deepdalefestival.co.uk for information about artists, tickets and more. Enjoy this episode and look out for future episodes which will release shortly. How are you guys? You all right?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. Yeah.
You at home or are you on tour somewhere?
Very well rested, actually. It feels, it's a while since we've been on tour. I think we got back in April. It's nice. Looking forward to festival season.
What's the first festival you're heading to in the next little while?
Here for the music festival. I don't know if you know that one. At Big Street in Bideford in Devon. And we've not played that one before. So yeah, looking forward to that.
And how was the US?
Yeah, the US was great. I'm trying to remember when we were there. Was it this
lovely.
year?
It was the West Coast tour.
Was it? Oh yeah, it was this
South
year.
by in Texas, and then which is like one of my favourite places. And then we spent like a couple of weeks just going around towns in California, which was lovely.
It was nice, yeah, because the whole tour was basically either California or Nevada, so it was the sunshine tour. But no, it was good fun.
I'm chatting with two very lovely people from Skinny Lister who are headliners on Saturday night of the Deepdale Festival. Chris gets immensely excited when he's putting together the programme for the Deepdale Festival, and he keeps it to himself for quite a long time, and then suddenly I get a list of all the bands that I have to add to the website. And he goes, "Oh, this one's a bucket list band, and this one's a bucket list band." He must have the longest bucket list in the world because there's an awful lot of bands that he wants to play at Deepdale. But I have to say, he was exceptionally excited when you guys said you were able to play, and it is just fantastic to know that you're going to be rocking the Brick Barn on Saturday night. It's going to be superb. And I know our festival goers are going to absolutely love you. So where's home? Where are you guys?
We're in Bristol at the moment.
Great. Where my daughter is.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, she's at the uni.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, nice.
So we're actually fairly recent to Bristol. We were living in Hastings for 10 years before Bristol, but we moved to Bristol a year ago. So yeah, but we're enjoying it. The rest of the band live here, so it's a bit more convenient. And yeah, it's good. It's good to have a change.
Introduce yourselves. Tell us who you are and what you do in the band.
Well, I'm Daniel, and I play guitar and sing in Skinny Lister.
And I am Lorna, and I sing in Skinny Lister.
And stand on the bar in videos.
Do a bit of that as well. Yeah.
Bit of crowd surfing as well, possibly.
I mean, it depends on the vibe of the crowd and how many holes there are in it all. Sometimes I get a bit carried away and do a stage jump. Yeah,
you've definitely got to trust your audience when you do that, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got to know that they can't run.
Yeah,
because some floors are more forgiving than others, aren't they?
Definitely. I've never hit a floor yet, but I've come close.
Matt Taz, actually our recording player, he took a tumble. We were doing a tour with Dropkick Murphys in America. And we were doing it, I can't remember what it was.
The tumble makes it sound like a three.
Oh no, he came off the front of the stage and banged his face on the barrier. It was bad. There was blood everywhere.
It was awful.
To his credit and to everyone else's astonishment in the crowd, he got up and carried on playing. It was pretty amazing. And there was no lasting damage.
That's good. Say, this is how Dan is so consumed in the show because he didn't even realise what had happened. And we all stopped playing for a second. Dan carried on and we were like, what shall we do? And then we had to just carry on, and Max just got up and started singing John Kanaka. So yeah, no, that was a bit nuts. But he's hardcore.
So
Obviously.
how did you guys, how did Skinny Lister come about? How did you all meet?
Me and Max actually went to college years ago in London together. And yeah, we started playing parties, just me and my acoustic guitar, and he'd get out his accordion, and just sort of foot stompy traditional tunes. It used to go down really well, and it was Skinny Lister was kind of an extension of that. There's also, where we lived in Greenwich, there was a pub next door that had a folk night every Tuesday night, and we used to go and join in that, sing along with the shanties. And just love that general atmosphere and sense of community and the tunes, and and again, what we did with Skinny Lister was kind of try and take that atmosphere and that pub vibe and kind of extend it into what we do as a live show now, I suppose.
Who writes? Who's the creative force?
Me, mainly, as in writing what you would call the song, as in the lyric and the chords and everything. But then it's very much a team effort when we put the songs together and arrange the songs. A lot of the songs will get vetoed by the band. Everyone definitely has the say. I wouldn't say we argue about arrangements, but everyone has an opinion.
We've chilled out over the years. We were a few more arguments back in the day.
But and you say it's just we have discussions about how the songs should be arranged, etc., which songs should make the album, and that's a healthy thing. I think that everyone can chip in. I think it's a strength, if anything. It's not just a bunch of people saying, "Oh yeah, that's all great." People have got opinions on things now. I think it generally, helps.
You have to be careful with how you say it, though.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I've learned that over time.
When someone's baby is being
song.
And in response to your question earlier, Lorna is Max's sister, which is how she came to join the band later on.
And our dad's been singing folk and writing folk songs. So I grew up in folk clubs and all the shanties and all the rest of it. So yeah, that's how I brought the party to the band. What we find at our gigs is they can range. The age of people can range so much more. It's not just typecast one. So yeah, some places will play, it has got a lot of young people that are sort of moshing, and then we'll go somewhere else and the people are older. So it's like,
but we do we've done. I remember one year we did Cambridge Folk Festival on the Saturday or something. Then we went to do Download Festival on the Sunday, which is heavy rock.
That's quite a difference.
It is quite different. So we've been lucky enough to kind of do the rock festivals that you just mentioned as well. But we do have a soft spot for the more folky festivals, and we're kind of equally at home in either, I suppose. But we definitely have folk at the core of what Skinny Lister is. That's where we come from. But there's a little bit of a punk attitude in there as well. That that's more in the attitude than in. It's not that we've got distorted guitars or anything. It's more in the way we deliver it, I suppose. Yeah. We've been kind of eclectic. So we are, as I say, a folk band to our core, but we have explored other areas, and we've kind of brought our fans along with us, I think. There's always that folk thing into the core, but there's some 80s influences we've sort of sprinkled among it, Adam and the Ants or Madness, or, those things can be found in there as well. But at our core, it is a folk sound. And I think the new album, the latest album, Shanty Punk, is kind of us touching base again with the folk thing in a more purer way, I think.
So when you're writing, are you thinking with two heads, sort of one the kind of performance and one the recording point of view? Because there must be, what goes down on stage and what goes down on an album must be a bit different in some ways. What gets a crowd going as opposed to what gets someone going when they're listening to an album.
Yeah, there's we put a thing up on our socials actually recently saying favourite Skinny Lister song, and it's so varied. People are picking songs off all the albums that we've released. And, you know, there's a lot of love for a song like, say, Colours from our first album, which is a very ballad kind of song. So it's not built to be, you know, it's not a song that's made for moshing in a live environment, but it works very well recorded. Actually, it works very well.
Live.
It does, but it's not one of those, you know, let's get the crowd rocking kind of tracks. But ideally, I think a good song does both. It works well recorded, and it works well in the live environment. And I think, and not to try and keep plugging the new album, but it was we did kind of have that in mind. The fact we wanted the songs on the album that were kind of ready, built to be played live.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case. We can play. And we already do play most of the songs off the new album, and they all just immediately slotted into the set like they'd always been there.
And do you prefer live or do you prefer the studio?
Live for me. There's not even a.
Yeah, I mean, I
like the studio.
I enjoy both. I mean, I love being on stage when you've got there's a great crowd and they're singing back all the words to your songs and stuff. That's one of the greatest feelings. On a personal level, I do enjoy the studio as well, and we've kind of produced our last 2 albums ourselves, and I'm very into all that. So I just find it very interesting, the whole production side of things as well. But you do have to put on a different head, because if I'm writing a song, that's a completely different head to if I'm going to try and record a vocal or something. You've got to wear different hats, otherwise you get yourself in a bit of a muddle, I think. But I enjoy all the elements, which is lucky,
Who are we likely to see on stage?
So there's 5 people in the band. There's Dan singing, me singing, my brother Max, he plays accordion and sings, and then there's Scott,
mandolin,
and then there's Scott on double bass and Tim on drums
and vocals as well.
Yeah,
so there's 5 of us.
We have a good time. We have a really good time.
Oh, there's a 6th member, a flagon.
Oh, yes.
Generally, where there's a flagon full of rum.
Excellent. Very useful item on a stage. Yeah.
Well, we often, share it with the crowd as well when we can. So that's been another member of the band since the start. Really, we've always had the flagon with us.
And how long have you guys been together?
Oh, years, a good decade now, a little bit more probably. Yeah. I mean, we released our first album just over 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And it's same lineup all the way through?
No, the core is me and Lorna and Max have always been there. There's a couple initially we didn't have a drummer. The first album is me on a stomp box, which was just an old suitcase with a microphone in it, and my right leg. My trusty right leg doing the stomping, which actually we're doing a gig this Friday, and it's a last minute booking. So Tim's not with us, our drummer, so I'm bringing out the stomp box again for that gig. So I'm just hoping the leg will hold out. But so then we've got a drummer, so that so it's not been entirely it's the same lineup. We had a bass player that we brought over from America for a while,
from Hawaii.
Wow.
We moved him here in November.
We met him on Van's Warped Tour in America, and he joined the band for a bit. So then he had to go back eventually. So we had another. Now we've got Scott, who's been with us for forever. It seems on the double bass.
A long time.
And we had a guy called Mule who was with us in the early days. He now lives in Greece, so he's not with the band anymore. So there's been a couple of changes around the edges, but essentially it's the core lineup remains the same.
America was fun.
Always.
Do you go over there quite a bit, or
Yeah, like I just mentioned, I think one of the first main tours we did over there was the Van's Warped Tour, which is like a rock tour fest. Well, it's like a circus, isn't it? Basically, it's like a big rock tour. I think that tours America basically, and it was one of our first main tours.
So the stages and about 100 tour buses, is it? I can't remember now, but
wow.
We just go around, did sort of 7 weeks.
Yeah. So and since then we've gone back pretty regularly. I don't know, a couple of times a year when we can. We've been lucky enough to tour with Flogging Molly over there, Dropkick Murphys, Frank Turner, our label mate, took us on tour in America as well. So we've done quite a lot. Interrupters as well, and Canada we do. So lots of good support tours, and then we'll do our own headline tours as well. We've got decent followings in especially on the East Coast, in places like Boston, New York, Chicago, and stuff. So yeah, America's been good to us, and I think there's something in the music that kind of connects. That we're not an Irish band, but there's like a Celtic feel, I think, to what we do, and there's there's a big Irish heritage in America. I don't know, there's just something that connects in some way, in a good way, with American audiences. So yeah, we do all right, and we enjoy going over there. We have a good time.
Really enjoy your festivals in the run up and your gigs in the run up to Deepdale. We are so looking forward to seeing you on the Brick Barn stage on Saturday of the festival. That is the 28th of September, and really, really looking forward to seeing you there. What's the latest album called?
Shanty Punk.
And available from all good outlets, and no doubt Bandcamp and places like that as well.
Yeah, everywhere. And yeah, we're really looking forward to playing Deepdale. We've heard very good things about it. We've not played it before, but
it's our last festival of the season, so it's going to be a big blowout.
Yeah, we'll be going out with the band.
I'm slightly nervous now. Lovely to talk to you both. Keep well.
Yeah,
yes.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, Johnny, come back to me. You're the Roman Camden, you're rolling free. Hey, Johnny, come back to me. 2, 3, 4. It's so long to my pretty, I'll be gone long and far. And the thing I miss the most of all, the company of the bar. Hey! Hey Johnny, tomorrow calls me on from a stinking drunken farewell cheer. I wake to find me gone. It's so long to my pretty, I'll be gone long and far. And the thing I miss the most of all, the company of the bar. My feet are getting restless, or shackled to the ground. So between the water and the wind, that's where I'll be found. It's all on to my pretty, I'll be gone long and far. And the thing I miss the most of all, the company of the bar. We're chasing the horizon, facing the unknown. The sedentary won't shackle me, the journey is my home. It's all on to my pretty, I'll be gone long and far.
I am chatting to the very lovely Sarah McQuaid, who is playing on Sunday in the Orchard at Deepdale Festival. And we're really excited about her coming to play. One of Chris's big choices that he really wanted to get to play at Deepdale. And I know you and Chris have chatted about previous years, and it hasn't quite happened. But welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me, Sarah.
Thank you, Jason. Lovely to chat to you.
And so you're down in Cornwall, so the opposite side of the country from us.
Yeah,
that's home, is it? And are you gigging a lot at the moment?
Well, I'm on my summer break now. I just did my last festival before Deepdale. Actually, I was playing at the New Forest Folk Festival there, which was lovely. Although it rained, I hope it doesn't rain in Deepdale. But yeah, I've got a bit of a break now, and then I've got 3 solid months of touring starting on the 30th of August.
Oh, okay. So like we're full sort of somewhere in the middle of that.
You will, yeah. I think Deepdale is it the last UK gig of my autumn tour before I go over to the USA. I think it might be.
Oh, fantastic.
No, second to last. It's the penultimate gig of the UK leg of the tour, which starts on the 30th of August and finishes on the 30th of September. And then I'll be heading over to the USA for 8 weeks over there. And I've got a pretty hectic schedule there, and that finishes up at the end of November.
And hearing your accent, there's definitely an American twang there. Is that, are you originally from somewhere in the US?
Yeah, well, pretty much grew up there. I was born in Spain, which is where my father was from. And then I was raised in Chicago, which is where my mother was from. And then wound up moving over to Ireland, which is where my husband is from and where my children were born, lived in Ireland for 13 years, and then moved 17 years ago now to Cornwall. So I've actually lived in Cornwall longer than I've lived anywhere in my life,
So
but
you've
I've
got a
still
kind of a
got the American
combination of a
accent.
West
Yeah,
Country,
yeah.
American, yeah, and Irish accent. It's sort of a good conglomeration.
Yeah, basically, to anybody who's from any of those places, I don't sound like I'm from there. No West Country person would say my accent is West Country. No Irish person would say my accent is Irish. And no American would say my accent is American. When I go over to America on tour, they say, "Oh, are you're visiting, have you ever been here before?" It's like, yeah. But yeah, no, I have this weird kind of smack in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean accent that basically everywhere I go, I sound like I'm from somewhere else.
And when you're singing, do you find that your accents, kind of those influence of accents, do they come out in the singing, or are you kind of, or is the voice completely separate? Because I'm always amazed when I meet artists who have a really strong accent from somewhere, northeast or
Yeah.
from America or whatever, and then when they sing, you'd have no idea at all. It's not until they speak between the songs.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I sing. I'm pretty sure I sing in my own accent. Like I have a Scottish song in my current concert set, which has kind of it's got words in Scots dialect, but when I pronounce those words, I don't pronounce them in a remotely Scottish way. I just sing them the way I would say them. I always kind of try to, especially in my songwriting, I kind of make a deliberate effort to sing like I'm talking, 'Cause I think it's kind of nice if the words flow the way you'd say them yourself in a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. And what got you, did you just know you wanted to write music, or was it something that kind of just developed over the years?
I think I was 8 years old when I wrote my first song.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so it was in there really early on, and I was writing songs all through my childhood. Dude, they were dreadful, horrible, horrible songs. I
So you
hope
haven't gone
nobody
back
ever
to them
unearths
then?
them in
You
here.
haven't gone back
No,
to them.
no. I mean, dreadful songs. But I was writing dreadful songs all through my childhood, and then my teenage years, I would get up and sing my songs at chapel. So we had chapel service on a Tuesday morning at my school, and I would get up and sing my dreadful songs. Um, and but the funny thing was that even though I was writing songs from the age of 8 and constantly writing them, I never really thought of myself in my kind of gigging life as a songwriter first and foremost until I finally met Zoe of Sunshine on a Rainy Day fame, whom I made the Mama album with. And it was working with Zoe that made me really start consciously thinking of myself as a songwriter and making a deliberate effort to work on writing songs. Because before that, it was just kind of something that came to me kind of automatically and I would do it, but I would if I had an idea for a song, I'd sit down and write it, but I wouldn't think, okay, I'd like to write some songs. What can I do? What can I do song wise? Can I try out a new form? Can I, I never really worked on my songwriting the way a songwriter would until I met Zoe. And I think it was working with her that kind of gave me the confidence to actually think of myself as a songwriter rather than as a folk singer who happened to write an occasional song.
And who, how does it work for you? Do you kind of think of the words and then kind of the tune comes to it, or is it tune first, or is it kind of just an organic process with both of them?
A- any of the above, basically. I mean, sometimes I have a melody going around in my head for ages and I have no idea what the words are going to be. Quite often, words come first, and sometimes the melody kind of appears in sync with the words, and sometimes it takes a long time. And I've got at the moment a complete set of words for a song that I haven't found a melody for yet. So I've
Oh,
got to. That's
interesting.
my next
Okay.
job is finish that song because I like the words a lot, but I just haven't found a melody to suit it. But I think. But I also haven't. I've decided it's going to be a piano song rather than a guitar song. So I think once I get a chance to sit down at the piano with it, it might start coming. That's my hope
Yeah,
anyway.
that was what I was going to ask. Are you a piano writer or a guitar writer, so I guess you normally start with the guitar, do you?
Yeah, well, guitar was my it's funny, piano was my first instrument. I started playing piano when I was 3, and I didn't pick up a guitar until I was about 7 or 8. Um, but well, for years I didn't perform on piano just for practical reasons. And therefore I would always go to a guitar to write songs because I didn't think I was going to be going out with a piano. And it was only actually just a few years back that I got an arts council. No, it wasn't an arts council grant. It was a cultivator grant that enabled me to get my keyboard, which I now travel with. And now I want to get a keyboard to tour with over in the USA, because at the moment what I'm having to do is just use a piano if it's there. And then if there is no piano, I have to swap out guitar songs for piano songs.
Right,
And
got you.
so I'd really like to have a keyboard to tour with over there. That's my dream.
So you're doing quite a lot of other festivals this summer, or is it mainly tour get dates that you've sort of set up?
Yeah, no, not a lot of festivals this summer, chiefly because my manager and sound engineer, who I'd always tour with, he's getting married and going on honeymoon for 3 weeks with his new wife, and so it's just not practical for me to go out and do festivals this summer. So I'm kind of what I'm hoping is that I can just make up for that by getting a really good kind of roster of festivals to do next summer, when I'm
Yeah.
when I'm back out there. But in the meantime, it's quite nice to have the summer off in Cornwall, and well, not off. I'm stacked up doing admin and trying to write new songs, trying to put together material for another album, trying to work on moving a project forward that I have in mind of converting my garage to a recording studio, which would make it a lot easier to record albums if I didn't have to book studio time and travel and all that stuff. It'd be really nice to have my own studio that I could just go into. And I've got the space. It's just putting a roof on it to start with,
Yes,
and
yeah, quite
and then
useful if
and
you're
then
going
a
to put a load of
door.
electrical equipment
There's a
in.
couple of doors that need to be replaced, and the roof definitely needs fixing, if not replacing. It
Yeah.
it leaks. So you don't want that
No,
when
no,
you
not
got
with expensive
electricity.
electrical
Yeah.
equipment or guitars. Or your piano would never forgive you if it
No,
yes, no, if the roof
no, it
collapsed. So
wouldn't.
yeah,
It
that's
wouldn't.
that's cool.
It wouldn't.
Do you have a favorite style of gig to play? Because your intro video is just so brilliant. It just sort of
Oh,
gives a
thank
whole
you.
kind of gives the people a really good intro kind of what you're about. But I'm just sort of fascinated to know kind of some artists sort of love a folk club, and others love a kind of a festival with people standing kind of watching. And I'm just fascinated to know kind of what your favorite sort of gig is.
I like them all. I mean, they're all really, I play in so many really, really different styles of venues. Like playing the festival gig last week was wonderful because it's a bigger crowd than I ever get at my concerts. I tend to at concerts I'm quite happy if there's over 100 people in the audience. So to stand in front of 1,000 or so people or more. I don't know how many were there. I think they sold 1,800 tickets, but anyway, it was really nice to have that big number of people, and of course the response feels huge when you get it then, and so that's really lovely. But then I love playing in churches. I mean, I recorded my most recent album in a church. I just find them such amazing spaces, with beautiful acoustics and that sort of reverberant sound that you get in churches, and the atmosphere and the architecture. And, usually there's, stained glass windows and things that I'm looking at and kind of feeling inspired by while I'm standing there on stage. So that's really lovely. I love theaters because in theaters you get dressing rooms, and it's really nice to have a dressing room. I don't get a dressing rooms in a lot of the venues I play. I'm lucky if I get somewhere to just go and hide behind a screen or something. So I feel kind of lucky that I can do all of these different styles of venues in different countries, and so you get real variety. I mean, the folk clubs can be lovely too, especially, the ones where like some of them have really strong floor singers, as they're called, or floor musicians, people who get up and play. Uh, and you get to hear amazing music as well as doing your own set.
I think you'll like the atmosphere of the Orchard stage.
Mhm.
It's very chilled. You'll be pleased to know that we've extended the size of the marquee, so it's kind of a big marquee in a lovely kind of grassy area,
Nice.
and we learnt one year on our very wet year a few years ago that the larger the marquee, the better. So we've gone for
Oh,
even bigger this year, so that we can fit an awful lot of people in there when if it's not nice, and even more people round it if it's lovely, and it works very
oh,
well
good.
as a space. So yeah, really looking forward to having you with us. So thank you so much for chatting with me. Really nice to have you on the podcast, and
Thank you,
we're so
Jason.
looking forward to seeing you in a couple of months' time in September.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to it. Can't wait.
If you're hoping to catch Sarah at Deepdale Festival, she is playing on Sunday in the Orchard, and we are really looking forward to her set. It'll be fantastic.
The sweetness of the berry doesn't take away the pain of the briar when it stabs you in the hand, but the power of your craving for the fruit among the thorns is driving you to risk another chance. Sweetness and pain, summer sun and autumn rain. The bramble does not seek to harm, it merely seeks to live. It ensures without malice or intention. There's no question of forgiveness, no apology, no pardon for minor wounds too numerous to mention. Sweetness and pain, winter winds return again. Sharp black thorns conceal.
I am chatting with David Brown, who is known and is on our festival playlist as A Light Left On, which I am sure he is going to explain in a moment. And yeah, he is part of Alton Wahlberg's AWMTV collective, which is happening on Sunday morning. Alton, for a long time, has supported us by putting together a really interesting collection of artists who he has worked with previously, and he has a website which has lots of these artists recorded on, and David is one of those. So welcome to Deepdale Podcast, David.
Thank you for having me. Very happy to be here.
And I'm right in thinking you were going to play last year, weren't you? That you were on the list, I think, for last year, and then it just for various reasons it didn't.
We were, yes. Yeah, we couldn't make it, unfortunately. We had a last-minute emergency with our car, but we have now got a new car, so that's much better.
And as you can hear in the background, the seagulls, which is a lovely backdrop. David is by the sea down in Essex at Clacton. And yeah, am I right in thinking, is Clacton the one with the really big, long pier?
We have a very nice pier. We have some nice music venues in Clacton, actually, which you may not be aware of. For the last couple of years, I've run a little music festival down on the beach. So that's quite exciting, called Breeze Fest, which we basically, a bit like what Alton's, we sort of try and book and support local artists. I did that off the back of COVID, because obviously all my musical friends had very little places to play. It was a very difficult time for all of us during COVID. So I got bored and I thought I'd set up a music festival.
Of course,
which
logically, yes.
Why not, you know? And it was one of those things where I started it, you know these things are like, you started as a very thing. It just snowballed into this monster, which was great, but it was just like I suddenly had to set up a health and safety committee. I had to do all these random stuff I'd never even thought about, which was great. And then we came back and did it a year later, so we did it for the second year. it got even bigger. We got about sort of 4,000 people attending, and we realised that a beach kiosk wasn't quite big enough for an entire beach festival. So we've taken a hiatus for the last year, and we're looking to hopefully bring it back next year with some Arts Council funding. But we've got a better venue now. So down in Jaywick, there's a really cool a big open market. It's called Sunspot, and it's a fantastic space. We're hoping that is the perfect space to put on our third year of Breeze Fest next year.
Why A Light Left On?
That's a good question. So basically, it just comes back from years and years ago. When I was at sixth form, this is a long time ago, I had a little jazz trio, and we used to play in a place that had like very little light. It was like a coffee shop. It was quite an old school coffee shop. This is back in the sort of 90s, and it had very little light. I don't know why. I think they just quite liked the ambience, and they had one lamp in the corner, and everyone said, "Oh yeah, they've got a light left on." And I thought, "Oh, that's a cool idea." We used to play there a lot, and we were kind of like a jazz band. I thought, well, that's quite a sort of esoteric, quite interesting name. And so I called my project A Light Left On. So it just stuck, really. I mean, the band's had a lot of different iterations over the years. We've had lots of people come in and out. Some pretty exceptional musicians have come in and out, and it's always kind of fluctuating. It tends to be me and my bass player were the sort of starting. We're the OG. So we sort of set it going about 20 years ago, and it's still me and Will, but then other people come in and out. In fact, at the moment we're working with a flute player, a flautist, so that's quite exciting. But yeah, we have like just random stuff coming in and out. We had a recorder player for a while. We have a percussionist. We had a famous blues guitarist come and join us for a while. So that was quite fun. So yeah, we like it. It keeps it fresh. It keeps my original songs. I love having new musicians in, because you get a completely different take on your own material, because obviously different musicians hear something different. They hear different ways of arranging. They hear things that you think, oh, I wish I'd thought of that sort of cool little riff, and so yeah, it keeps it fresh. It's been great. We had a gypsy jazz guitarist for a while. That was pretty out there. We had a sort of conga player. That was pretty fun. I think we're playing Deepdale with just me and Will.
Well, we're really looking forward to you playing. If you have to choose a track of yours, what would you choose?
Probably Wait So Long. I think that's off our last EP, released a couple of years ago. We're just about to release a new EP this year, and we're going really avant-garde, and we're only releasing it on cassette deck.
We're so looking forward to you playing. It is so. We just love what Alton does with all of his AWM TV stuff, and we really love the fact that he brings a whole group of artists who we probably should know about, but don't necessarily. I love the atmosphere on a Sunday morning in the Orchard. Regular festival goers, they just sort of create a nest and just say, right, come on, entertain me, and it's just it's a lovely atmosphere and a lovely feeling, and yeah, we're really looking forward to seeing you play. So thank you very much for joining me on the podcast.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Well, I still remember, I still recall the way it seemed. Well, I was always calling, you were so difficult to reach. I didn't see it growing, I didn't notice till it hurt. And all this time we're in slow motion, don't feel it either, and that's worse. I guess we'll reach a place with no more hiding, forced apart, our paths collided, face the storm and ride the lightning out of here. Lose a moment, don't stop fighting, fight until you find the right thing. Guess I needed time to get things wrong. Why'd you make me wait so long? Why'd you make me wait so long? Why'd you make me wait so long?
Thank you so much for listening to the first episode of the Deepdale Festival Podcast 2024. More episodes are currently being recorded and edited and will be released shortly. If you'd like to know more about artists performing at Deepdale Festival 2024, please take a look at the website deepdalefestival.co.uk. Hope we'll see you in September for amazing live music.